Okay, I hope everybody can hear me okay. I'm going to go over a lot of stuff. This is my little thing where I'm going to go over Bitcoin and the market. Today is June 26, 2022. Bitcoin price is $21,350 at the time of the start of this broadcast, and is probably going to end up higher than that eventually. Can't say that I wouldn't be predicted, right? So, the market in the status where it's at. Let's go from the top down on the right side here. We are very bearish on the market. Hasn't really ended yet, but could. We had bearish, we had a little test, went back to bearish. We'll probably have a little test. That might be all we get. It is 25k. Be prepared that we may not see 31k or 38k. One of the things I've seen is we do have a reversal indication here, and once it hits about 50 is when I usually want to get out. We do have Stoch RSI saying yes, we're going to start trending upward. Despite that, bullish volume has been decreasing because bullish volume has been a bit more consistent, but bearish responses have not. Now, where does this come from? Where and why are we seeing these sorts of prices today? Well, for one, the Bitcoin CME futures expired last Friday. Yep, so that's going to open up in a number of hours yet again. So you'll notice this is a only open during the week sort of system. And we just had expiration. So now we have a new month of futures starting today. That will open in approximately 6 to 7 hours at this point. So what do we have? We have two gaps ahead of us here. We have one at 27.3 to, I don't know, 29. If you want to be generous, call it 28. If we go to 25, we could fill that gap, maybe. Does not mean we're going to fill 34. Because we have to see what happens when we play out this daily moving average here. And there's a whole lot of stuff around there, so it's not going to be fun. 4-hour and 1-hour indicators have gone pretty bullish, have said we are going to go up. 1 hour showing that we bottomed out on Stoch RSI if we're going to reverse. 4 hours like kind of shaky, we've been moving up, we're taking a break. Nothing really says otherwise except that we're very slowly creeping up on the moving averages. You'll notice likewise, along with that whole futures expiration from Levitas, I think it's called, there is a giant drop because all the options closed. And it looks like more calls probably closed than put. And right now it looks like we are a little bit more bullish than we were at the end of the last cycle. That does not mean that we know if that's going to remain the case or not. When we look at option flow itself over the last day, what have people been looking for? People have been selling puts, so that means they are bullish. And they've been selling calls at 22k, that means they are bearish. Because that's not buys, that's sells, that's writing contracts. And it looks like a few people are selling 24,000, hoping that we'll never get that high. That somebody's hoping for 24 and never get there, totally reasonable. That's about all the data we have on that at this time. It's not a lot. Whale map shows people have been accumulating at the bottom in large numbers. And in tiny numbers, there's been little baby buys as we went down that also picked up recently on the dip. If I put that to a daily interval and you look at what's going on, you can kind of see where people wanted to buy the most BTC. That does not guarantee it. It could be kind of like this. It could be kind of like this. This is kind of the most probable scenario, is a repeat of January to February. Let's go look at what January to February was. Here's January to February. We dropped. Look familiar? We came up. Maybe we test the yellow moving average. So that would be, in the best case, we hit 30K. We gap from 27. And then we go back down. We even go above it. Test the next one. 38. And then we go down. Probably a reasonable repeat of where we are right now. Is that sort of range right here. See, here's our drop under, and then our drop down. Here's our drop under, and then our drop down. The danger here is these moves are bigger, not smaller this time around. We have more volume committed, so that means that will likely happen again, as opposed to being unlikely to happen. Axo charts shows us that shorts were leading the market until we flipped to longs right around here, but volume is still generally bearish and has not fully changed since the beginning of the month. It was a little bullish from the end of May, and then it kind of went bearish, and that's kind of what it is. Tensor chart says there were some people hoping to see 20,007. There are people hoping to see 22. There are probably some people still waiting out to see 22.9 and probably 29. ScalpX says fear and greed is still super. People are scared as shit. And people are selling right this moment, which doesn't mean too much. Datamish shows us that longs have been increasing on Bitfinex a lot. Longs are really coming up now, and that hasn't happened in quite some time. So and they've been liquidating though recently. See, this pain score tells you how many longs have been liquidating, and it's been all longs. So despite that, longs are still increasing and shorts are not. So this is Bitfinex versus looking over here at BitMEX. This will be a little bit confusing for a while until I go through this many times for you guys. People are hedging their shorts, and people are not having a lot of shorts. That's basically the answer here. There have been a lot of long liquidations, so now we will probably have short liquidations coming. The block says open interest has been kind of going down across the board, but now it's finally ramping up as we move up here. That's the important part. That's also due to value as well. But you'll notice it's still going up, and where is the majority? There's a bunch of other sites, and then Binance. So Binance is still leading the way. What about CME futures? Not a lot of interest right now. Market drop. Nobody cares. Funding rates are kind of changing on BitMEX a little bit, and liquidations are what they are. We saw lots of long liquidations recently, multiple times. That's it. There's a lot to look at here. I can't even cover all the things in one. The one I wanted to get to was flows. This was what marked the bottom. 619. 619. Look at that. Now, once we see that this goes the other way and goes to an extreme like this, we'll know that we probably reached a top. And given the frequency and speed at which this is coming down on the exchange flows, this is people bringing money to an exchange to sell. Once we see that go the other way, it would tell us. Look at the BTC side as well. Same sort of thing happened. Look at 5.1, that was 5.19, that was like kind of the bottom. And by bottom there, they mean top. So here's 5.19. This is when people bought a bunch off the exchange, I guess, and they must have cashed out from up here. But on ETH, you can see ETH is a little bit more obvious, a little bit easier to catch what's going on because the interest seems to be in altcoins. And Bitcoin hasn't quite dropped yet, so people want to see it go up quite a bit before they start taking out their BTC again. So what we're looking at here is a market where we are probably going to go up, and I think everybody wants 17K again. Yes, we're going to see it. That there's a very likely chance we're going to see it. It's just that we're going to go up first.
Giant spider! Giant
1 moment.
tarantula! Giant tarantula!
Alright, I will resume the stream there. Sorry about that. Didn't want you guys to have to hear all that. I guess spiders are important to my kids today. We could really see 17 again. It's going to probably happen, but we'll probably go up first. Because one of the things that's going to happen here that you have to remember is, you see how futures is at 21,255 and that's not 21,355 where we are right now? If we go above that, we create a gap. So we would create a gap right here. So here's what would happen. Market would go up, maybe fill this 28 up here, right? Sorry. Fill 28 and come back down. Pretty simple, right? There would be our bull market. Holy crap, we're up, we filled. Everybody's happy, everybody better buy in around here. Let's go, let's buy and buy and buy. And then we go back and people say, I don't know how this happened, but we came back to 21 right after. Well, it's not too hard to figure that out, right? Well, if we go up, it could be 27 would be my guess because of the gap, or it could be these prominent points already, which are 25 or 31 or 39. That's on the daily moving averages. If we look at 4 hour, we're looking at there's your 22, which we're still waiting on, which is why we're fighting 22. And then if we go above 22, we go to, hey, look at that, there's 25 again. So that's about what we're looking at. Market will probably go up. The longs are leading the show right now. The shorts are still firmly in control, but at the same time, these low volume longs are going to drive up the price for now. And so, on that basis, the price will go up, but it will not be a real committed move. So even if we go up here, that's not necessarily the case, right? So let me put on Ichimoku. So you can see a little differently here. Here's Ichimoku turning on 4 hour, which people like to see. Basically got out of the cloud. This is traditional Ichimoku. Here's 1 hour Ichimoku. We're above the cloud. Here's daily Ichimoku, which says, yeah, we're bearish, right? And then here's another significant price number to look for, and that's 30,000, almost exactly. So these are prominent areas for likely reversals. You have 25, you have 29, but for now we will probably move up because MACD is turning and because the bearishness is kind of dying down. What could happen could be something like right here. See what happens here where the trend reversed, where we have the bearish move and dies down, and then what do you have up here? You have a somewhat bullishness move. We will have bad news. We will have bad news no matter what, because globally we are in the ugliest market that can possibly exist. Globally, this is super ugly, and this hasn't changed. On a weekly standpoint, we are on more red weeks than we have ever seen. And on a weekly standpoint, it hasn't even changed. This is why I'm saying, even if we go to 27 and then go back down, we would just make a doji candle. We wouldn't even make a bullish candle, right? Like we wouldn't make something that looks like this, because we'd probably go up to 27, and then guess what we'd do? We'd probably come back to right here to gap fill down and then go back down. So what kind of candle does that make for the week? It makes one that usually will look either like this, like a doji, or like this. Yes, news can override the price. That's still a risk. We're heading into weekly bearish indicators, and that's not pretty. But for the shortest time frame, we will probably go up because people are dumb and people like manipulating markets. So you got to remember, things can change. 4 hours slowly turning here. You know, I mean, I'm not risking huge amounts right now, but I am leaning towards bullish for the moment until that changes. We could die off as soon as briefly here. We could go under 22, but the key that I'm looking for is to see if we stay around 21,265. Because otherwise we're going to create a gap right below that on the CME. And I don't think they're going to create that sort of a gap. So that's Bitcoin. Let's go look at some other coins. Let's go look at Ethereum. And what do we see on Ethereum? Ethereum is kind of bullish on the 4-hour chart. Pretty bearish on the daily chart, like hyper bearish. Like, look at this. This is 50% down on the moving average from the bottom, and the volume doesn't even look like much today. But it is still turning. It is still turning, and it is higher than it's been since March on the MACD. And we do have a solid bounce right here. We do have a dipped into extremes and came out of extremes. There is a plausible argument here that ETH will pull up the market. And then the other side to that is Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance has been on a drop, which is why alts have been moving up. Pretty simple, right? But the flip side is that's lightening up. It could start to reverse. When this reverses, which could be, let's say, 3 to 5 days, maybe this week, when it reverses, is when things get really ugly. Because if Bitcoin dominance goes way up, alts won't, and that'll probably be a dump. What is working for our favor is that the DXY is coming down, finally. Probably not forever, because we know it's a bear market. And because the DXY has done phenomenally lately, since last year. We tried to go against it with Bitcoin, and then we failed because the DXY kept going. So ultimately, that's probably what we're going to see, is it looks like that move is not finished at all. Look at that. We had this drop, and Bitcoin moved up, and it was a weekly drop. And we'll probably have another drop, and we'll probably drop to like right here, 103, 102 on the DXY. And then we see things move up. So that's the other side of the equation. If we look at other crypto coins, I'll just pick at random here. Ethereum Classic is kind of in the same boat, right? See, all the alts are kind of in the same sort of status here. They're all kind of like, hey, we've been bearish forever, maybe we'll flip. Except for FLM that has been stupid because of this stuff that's been going on recently and is now probably about to tank. Phantom looking good, honestly. Getting reasonably bullish here pretty consistently. Could cross on the daily. That's a big, good step to buy in. Gala, they are also probably about to turn a little bit, move up. This is why I'm saying all the alts are moving up. Right. July, we will see when the announcement happens for the hike. That's when I expect we're going to see it. July hike. Moment. So, they said it's probably going to go up again in July. So we have to wait till the July meeting, which will be probably a few weeks out. Once that happens, then we'll know that it's going to go back down. Fed meeting, July date. There you go. Look at that. Who could have predicted that? July 26th to 27th, which, oh yeah, that kind of lines up with the futures expiration on the 29th, doesn't it? That's when they will announce the next date. And it'll be right around futures expiration. So what we could see, a little bit of this. Here's our bullishness temporarily. Yep, I'm aware of the quantitative tightening. QT has been going on for quite a bit. And it will continue. And it will pull down the price. But until that time, and it'll probably pull down the price by bringing up the DXY. So this is what I think is going to happen. We're going to see these events occur. I should probably put down the Fed date right now, July 26th to 27th. Okay. Let's put that on there as well, because we'll need to remember it later. FOMC July announcement date 26, 7, 27. Reference the calendar. So that's what, son of a gun. That is what we're probably going to see, unless I just deleted it. There we go. So that's when we'll probably see the price move, to be honest. It's probably on the 26th. And then on the 29th, we get to watch Bitcoin. Put this on the 26th. I'll get rid of the secondary part. So here's what we're going to see. We're going to see a build up to the FOMC. This is true, but again, you have to remember that crypto markets are easily manipulated, because crypto markets, it is true that they take out money all the time. Quantitative tightening, which is important to reference, is what we're talking about here. Quantitative tightening. And what is quantitative tightening? It's when they take money out. And it's the opposite of what is. It's basically they take money off. They sell crap. This is the shortest answer of how to put it. They sell like everything. And that can still happen, right? Because if we look at the SPY has been bouncing as well, right? But look at all these ugly, ugly gaps. You have, this is maybe a gap, this is a gap, this is a gap, this is probably what they're going to fill, and this is why we're going to see Bitcoin move up as well. Because Bitcoin is following the stock market. So what we are watching for is, you want to see the SPY go up another 3%, right? That's just enough for Bitcoin to go up maybe 10%, for everything to moon. And where does Bitcoin at 10% put us? Hey, look at that. Either 22.5-ish or 25, and they go up for it. Right, and this will strengthen the DXY, is when they take the money out of supply, and that's what's happening and what we're seeing. So it kind of all adds up. It's just a question of if they want to dump the price first or if they want to take things up. And I think DXY is going to go down a little bit before they start doing a little more quantitative tightening. We see price move up, and it'll be a fake move. Everybody feels great. Everybody says, I think I've already been seeing news come out saying that Bitcoin is going to go up all over the place. Bitcoin. Yeah, okay. Bullish garbage from years ago being recycled. Things being recycled. Almost nothing current, I guess, on the search right now. Yep. Not a whole lot there. If I look right now, people say they're making money. and hypothesis around things like, oh, Bitcoin's going to go up, and the famous log chart, which is a piece of garbage. But people will love it anyway, right? So let people feel happy. Let them think price is going to move up. Let BitMEX lead the day because it's at 21.2 right now, and we're at 21.2 right now. Look at that. Who could have predicted that we're going to hit the BTC futures open? And now we're all set. So we dip down for futures open. Futures takes us up. Maybe futures fills this, maybe not. So they didn't want to create a gap here. And then we go further down. So it's just going to be a short-term move. This is not going to be something I expect to last 3 weeks or 3 months or something. I think we have probably to the end of the week before we go back to bear. That's my expectation. Stock to flow. So stock to flow cracks me up because it's just so wrong. Let's go look at stock to flow, shall we? Look into Bitcoin as a site for that. If you don't want to pay money somewhere for some stupid site for it, and you don't need alerts. And what do we have? We have things should be moving up. But are they? No. Are they going to, even if we go up to 25, 30,000? Hell no. It's just looking uglier and uglier because this is where people thought they could apply stock logic to crypto. And it never really worked. It just got lucky a couple times. I'm not a fan. I never have been. Because we have a different scenario, don't we, than every other time it happened. Every other time it happened, we were closer to a halving before we bottomed. We are super far from a halving, and it's just as ugly, right? We have 200 days here. So, do we think it's going to be half a year? Exactly. Do we think it's going to be half a year down here at $21,000 after we go to 25? We sure could. Why? Because let's apply some reality behind this here. Let's apply some trading logic, right? There's that thing. It's called a bearish divergence. These don't just apply to trading. This sort of model applies to everything. It's just stating that we have a divergence of the price. And in this case, it's the exactly, right. Yeah, I'm sure Bitcoin will go to $1 million by tomorrow. In the meantime, I will be taking small longs speculatively with small money for this short move up, and then I'll get the hell out. And look at that, we are right at the 21.2 mark to fill the futures gap from, what were we at today? Oh yeah, we were at, what was our high? 21.5, yeah. So as you can see, they're not going to stray very far. But you notice it hasn't turned any indicators bearish. So we're going to fill that, and we'll keep going up for a little while. So let's go back to January. There you go. Here could be a solid January example. Couple days up, or maybe it was the end of January, I think. Yeah, here it is. This is what's going to happen. Something like, let's see, what was the start of this move through? Major drop, see, major drop. A little bit of fighting to go up. How much of a move do we see? Just picking a random spot, say 20%, yeah. So 20% on BTC would be 25K. People would be like, yay, we're great, we're wonderful. Everything on technical indicators says you're not even moving because 25K would be not even hitting this moving average maybe. If we fill up to 27 for a 1-day spike, I would short the hell out of it. If we go back to 25 after, I would short that close and walk away. But on the shortest time frame, we'll probably go up a little bit. It's just part of the automatic rally. It doesn't mean that we're like bullish. It just means that it's just going to go up a little because it went to such an extreme. Because we're already at 21.1, and then once it opens, we'll blast right up to 21.265, or we just dump here and that's it. Because it could be, right? There's plenty of stuff saying bearish. There's plenty of stuff saying like this is overall trend that has been saying that we've been bearish since, you could say, January. You could say we crossed over November 16th, and that was it. It just depends on how far you want to go in that model, right? Like you could say here that we went bearish in September, and we kind of came back in October, and you could have done the October run until we get up to here. It just depends on how you want to play in the hindsight, but even if we go over this, I'm not going to be convinced that we're bullish yet. Not unless we see drastically increasing instead of decreasing volume. If we see the opposite of this here, where we have our volume going like that, that would be convincing. Reflex. Because volume right now isn't really supporting. This is an indicator I like. Isn't really changing a whole lot. We've been generally bearish on larger time frames. That's the whole thing. This is a short time frame move. So could you be justified in a short? Yeah, probably. Could you be justified in a long? Yeah, probably. Just gotta see what happens. Anyway, that's my gist. Short-term bullish, long-term bearish. Has not changed. That's the simple answer. And nothing has really changed, right? Like we've literally broken under Bollinger Bands and Keltners on weekly. Like you can't really get more bearish than that. But yeah, keep buying Bitcoin because I don't advise anybody to do that, but I'm just kind of making fun of the marketing that exists. And I don't want to be the guy that tried to be convinced that I put all my money in right now and said Bitcoin is going to go up, and find that I liquidated because I went in some crazy Bitcoin long. But as always, watch your wallets, right? If Bitcoin goes up to 25, then your response should be like this. Because the only thing that's going to happen after we hit 25 is we're going to hit the ugliest market ever if we go down from there and we reject there. We're going to find new lows. 17K is going to sound like a high. We could gap fill at, God, where's the other one I had? Right here. We could gap fill at 19 because we didn't actually gap fill 19, or sorry, 18.9 did not actually fill on futures.